Hello, welcome everybody. Welcome to Atlantis Freediving channel. Today we have with us Fatima Korok from Hungary, and we will have a little chat with her to see what she's been up to, what is she planning for the whole year, and what is she doing here in Tenerife. Welcome, Fatima. It's great to see you here, to have you in Atlantis and in Tenerife. And before we get to what you are doing here, I want to ask you, how did you get to freediving? Because I know you're from Hungary and I'm from Slovakia, and we had Martin here from Czech Republic, and these are all landlocked countries, so we have no sea. So how in hell everybody gets into freediving? Tell me, what was your story?
So hi Pavel, and hi everyone, and thank you for having me. Well, it's actually a really long story, but I will try to, make it short. So I grew up loving the water. I was always a water person. I started to basically swim before I could talk or walk. I was like 3 months old, and my parents, they took me for baby swimming. Then I was a swimmer in kindergarten, and then before going to primary school, I went to synchronized swimming. I wanted to dance, but I also wanted to be in the water, so I figured out there is a sport that's also like dancing and being in the water, so it's basically underwater ballet, synchronized swimming, so I did that for 5 years. So that's my base before I started freediving. But when I was 16, I stopped doing any sport. I said I'm choosing studying, but at the end I didn't went to the university. I continued working in the tourism for the next 6 years, and I started to live like a very unhealthy life, like the completely opposite that I did before, when I was basically a competitive synchronized swimmer as a kid or a young teenager. So by the end of my 23rd year or so, I was already more than 110 kilos, and I was drinking a lot, I was working a lot, I was not really seeing my family. I had a great career, and I was so proud of what I've achieved in my job, and I did it with passion because I did Jewish heritage tours in Budapest. Which basically I thought that I'm teaching something for the humanity to learn from our past mistakes from the history, but as we can see now, we never learn, so I didn't change the world. So I kind of grew up from that main goal that I would like to change the world and save humanity, and I started to focus on myself because of an accident. I broke my ankle. And that put me out of the picture for 3 months. So I was
This
home.
was when you were already freediving, or before?
No, it was before. So I was 24, and I was at home sitting in my bed with my broken ankle. I had a big surgery, and I was very heavy. I could not really go to the bathroom on my own. It was horrible. And that's when I realized that I'm not really doing anything with my life besides focusing on my career and trying to change the world, which is really not my job.
Yeah, I mean, this is super interesting. I didn't know that there is such a big story behind you starting freediving, and it's actually quite similar to my story as well. I also worked in the hospitality industry for many years, and I can totally relate to unhealthy lifestyle. You know, it's a lot of hours, and you don't eat regularly.
A lot of working hours.
Yeah. But so that decided you to make the change into, okay, I want to start living healthier lifestyle and so on. And you basically
traveling
as well. Yeah. And then you picked up on the past water activities that you were doing.
Yeah, like when I started to focus on myself, I realized water is missing, and I was so embarrassed of my body that I was not even going to beaches for years. Okay. So when I really started to get in shape during that time when I was home, I started to have a better diet. Then I decided for traveling, that I started to travel, I started to learn a new language, Spanish, I started to dance salsa, I was working out and I found scuba diving. So I thought scuba diving will be my thing. So actually, I'm a dive master. But then when I finished my dive master course, I already did one beginner course in apnea in Honduras, in Utila.
Oh, okay.
And I already knew that I want to be a free diver.
Yes.
I didn't know it can be like a career. I just knew that I want to do this because I tried it and I knew I love it. Like it was love for the first dive.
Yes, most of people that I know also who started with scuba and then discovered freediving later, it was a similar story. They just abandoned the scuba diving and just stayed freediving for the rest.
Yeah.
And so you already have at that point you already had some kind of a love for a breath hold, because in synchronized swimming you have to hold your breath and you have to be very comfortable in the water, obviously, and you have to be a very aquatic person. So the breath hold itself and being underwater was nothing new for you, right, at that stage?
Like, I was never thinking about holding my breath when I was doing synchronized swimming. We were focusing on doing, the elements or doing the dance. Or when on competitions, then that was like different kind of elements that you have to do. And then obviously you have to hold your breath because you're upside down. So there was like no other way to do it. But we were never actually talking about breath holding. It just happened because it has to happen to be able to do what we are doing. And about holding my breath, I discovered it with freediving. Like, I remember my first breath hold was 3 minutes, and I was like, wow, you can really do this?
Yes.
So everything was a shock for me, and like, I really enjoyed the beginning part. Also now I enjoy it, but like, I really enjoyed like discovering everything that comes with the freediving. So
there was no struggle in the course or equalization issues, something like this? You didn't have any of that, right?
Oh yeah, well, fun story. So so when I did my first course, I already did an 18-meter dive with a friend here in Tenerife, because I lived here as a scuba diver before. And then from here I traveled to Mallorca and then Cuba and then Mexico, and then I ended up in Utila to finally do my freediving course. So I knew about freediving from here, from Tenerife, from a Hungarian friend of mine who still lives here, by the way. And he gave me his plastic fins Gara 2000. And then I did this 18-meter dive once, because that's when there was a buddy that I could go out.
So it was just one shot.
Yeah, it was
meters.
one shot. Yeah, 18 meters. And then, I was afraid of freediving, kinda, because this friend of mine, he showed me videos of Audrey, for example, the accident, and like shallow water blackout. So basically that's how I was introduced to freediving, like you can black out and die. And I was like, okay, so I just do scuba, I guess.
Everybody starts with the extremes. When it comes to freediving, you look at the extreme part of it, with Herbert and with Audrey and blackouts and the competition, but it's so much more.
It's not that. Like, freediving is also when you just like jump in the water and you start swimming, and it's so much beautiful and so much more tempting than watching someone doing, like a world record dive when you are trying to introduce someone to the sport. And I love the sport part of freediving, but I also love it as a lifestyle and as a hobby, or as a connection with yourself, or as a connection with the nature. So that's why I really stuck to freediving, because it's not just a job for me, it's not just a passion, it's not just something that actually saved me from my unhealthy life, but it's also something that I
enjoy the training part of it as well, right? Training, getting better, and it's a lifestyle. Being sport it's a lifestyle, and freediving fits very well. I think everybody who comes here, or who I know that does freediving, also enjoys other sports and enjoys training, enjoys working on himself. So I think this is something that connects all of the freedivers.
Yeah, it's the motivation that you can get to actually reach a goal. And coming with my competitive background, I never learned sports science, or I'm not like I don't have a degree in like coaching, but I did sport myself, so I have my own experience, and I did lose 40 kilos by myself. So I kind of know like you know what is training and what is really like fighting for something in long term. So basically any sport, so freediving is like that. Like you have to have a goal, you have to have smaller goals on the way, and then you have to be clever on the way to achieve them and change if something is not working. And in the meantime, you are like learning to discover yourself and like learn to appreciate what you have achieved so far. So yeah, that's freediving. I had problems on my training, but I progressed very fast. Probably because I was so ready to do it. So I was waiting 1.5 years to actually start it, to have the possibility to go somewhere, have safeties with me, have a buoy, and have a rope that goes just down to the depth, and I just wanted to go down as far as I can.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And on a time scale, if you look at it when you started and then when you were already quite deep diver, when was it?
Yeah. So I did the beginner course after my one shot of diving. The beginner course was apnea total, so I had to go down to 21. Which is pretty amazing, and I wanted more, but I didn't have money to go for the next course. So I saved money in Spain, and then I went to Dahab because I did my big research.
This was not so long ago, right?
It was 3.5 years ago.
3.5 years ago.
Yeah. So I arrived to Dahab, and there were all these people there freediving. Everyone was freediving, and I was like, "Oh my God, I found my place." And then I started to train. That was Catherine, Cat from Canada, Cat for Drive. Basically, she invited me to Dahab, but I knew it from my research that there is the best place to like start freediving and get to a level where basically you're not really stopped because it's too shallow.
Yes.
So I went there. Also, I didn't have much money, so it seemed like a good option. I wanted to finish quickly my courses and go to Thailand and be an instructor. But then I went there, and I remember my first dive. It was amazing. Like, that was my favorite dive ever. Yeah. So we went to the lighthouse, and I had an octopus nose clip, which I was using afterwards for like the next like 3 years. And then I was always diving with a nose clip. I just loved it. Basically, it's also probably because it reminds me when I was a synchronized swimmer.
You're used to
so
it.
I just love it, and it doesn't bother me that I don't have anything on my eyes. And I did this dive to 30 meters, and I just loved it. It was like the best thing ever. And then this is how it went for the next like 1 month. Like I went diving, and every time I did like a small PB. But at the same time, everyone was telling me like, "Oh my God, you should go like slower. You're gonna have, I don't know, a squeeze, a blackout or something." But it was not really harming me mentally, so it didn't put a block in me, because I still wanted to figure out like, okay, they're telling me it's not possible to progress so fast, but then let's see what I do next day. I also asked help for like 4 sessions from local instructors, and they basically prepared me to go to my first competition. That should be after a month I started freediving, but then it was canceled the last day because of bad weather conditions.
This was in Dahab?
That's supposed to be in Sharm, the Red Sea Cup, maybe you remember. So I could not go for my first competition, but then like 2 weeks later there was another one, and that's where I did my first national record. It was not really freedivers in Hungary, so it was not that hard. I did a 47-meter dive in free immersion.
Okay, very nice.
So after the 50-meter dive, which I did in like 2.5 weeks, I wanted to go slower. So I spent some time there in the 50s, a few weeks, and then by the time of Christmas, on Christmas Day, I did my PB dive. It was 62-meter dive after like 2.5 months of freediving. That was pretty cool. But then I got very tired after that dive, and I didn't understood what's that. I clearly overtrained myself because I was going to the gym. I was like running a lot and doing all these things. Which I know now that it's not that clever. So I decided to take a break from deep diving, and I just started to focus on training. So I spent a lot of time in the gym, and I did like thousands of dives to like 30 meter, 35, maximum 40 in the next like 3-4 months. And then I had some issues with the equalization when I started to learn mouthfeel, and that was when I did my level 4. But by that time I was already diving to like 75-ish, because I'm reverse packing, and I never felt the need that I have to switch to mouthfeel. Obviously, everyone is telling you that mouthfeel is safer. If you do reverse packing, you're gonna squeeze. Well, it's not always the case. Like if you know what you're doing and actually you're training for it, then you're not gonna have problems. So I wanted to see how far I can take my reverse packing, so how far I can go, and I had to learn mouthfeel because of the course requirement, because I wanted to be an instructor. So I was struggling for a week. I know it doesn't seem a lot, but for me, it was like a very painful suffering there. I didn't understand how I fill my mouth, and then how I put the air from there, and then what I do with my tongue, and it was uncomfortable. I thought I looked like a retarded hamster, and it was like, oh my God, like, wow, why? But when I let it go, like all these things, and I just like, I just let it happen, because I know how to equalize. I worked a lot on my frenzel and reverse packing, so I knew it. So then it started to work. So then I was super happy. So when I left Dahab after 8 months of freediving, I was diving to 80 meters, and I learned how to mouthfeel as well.
Cool. And so now you're diving with mouthfeel with the big dives?
I mix it up. Like I used to say that I'm like cheating with reverse packing, but I should stop saying that, because it's just my way of equalizing, I guess. Like it just feels very comfortable up until like 75 to reverse pack. It just comes like natural to me. I know it's like, I don't know, some people say it's not the perfect way, but whatever works for you is the perfect way for you.
Yes. What are you training for right now, and what are your plans for this year, I guess?
I am training for vertical blue.
Okay.
That will be in August, and then the World Championship of AIDA will be in Roatan right after. So I'm gonna travel there. And then there is a small break, and there is the CMAS World Championship in Turkey in October. So these are my 3 main competitions this year. So this is, I think, the biggest season I had so far. Finally, I'm able to go to the Bahamas. I've been invited for the past 3 years, but I never made it because of financial issues. But now I have a sponsor from Hungary, so I'm gonna be able to go and do this season.
That's great. That's great. Well, we wish you all the luck, and that you will utilize the training well, and that you are successful. And yeah, we're looking forward to follow you on your competitions. I'm pretty sure it will be available online, so people can watch it. Now with the dive eye, you can watch the whole dive, even all the way down to the bottom. So we'll be rooting for you. And well, Fatima, thank you for joining us for the interview, for finding some time, and for waking up early. And wish you all the best. Wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. And yes, please cheer for us online. They're going to be live feed on all of these big competitions. So
Yes.
thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. Thanks for joining us. And it was great to see Fatima, and we spent some time together here in Tenerife. And yeah, fingers crossed, everything she decides to do in competitions will come true. And we'll see you next time on the next video. Thank you and take care.